Alright guys, in today's video we have more PlayStation news and information to go over and discuss. Before we dive into these topics, do me a big favor, hit that like button to help the video out and show it your support, and if you are new to the channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button as well. I would certainly appreciate that. We're starting here though talking about what a Bethesda developer has to say about developing their game exclusively for the PlayStation 5 and how it is allowing them to preserve the level of ambition that they're trying to achieve with this title. Now, obviously, this is pretty strange because we know that Bethesda is now owned by Microsoft, but we have to understand that there are still two studios underneath Bethesda that are currently working on PlayStation exclusives, that being Arcane with Deathloop, and the other studio is Tango Gameworks working on Ghostwire Tokyo. Now, in this case, we're talking specifically about Deathloop, and they're just talking about how it's really nice to not have to worry about cutting certain content or making certain compromises because they are embracing next-gen only development. So it says here, reading from Gaming Bolt, Deathloop developers Arcane Studios believe that PS5 exclusivity has proven extremely integral to the smooth development process of the game. In an interview featured in Play magazine, game director Dinga Bakaba, hopefully I'm saying their name correctly, talks about how the team was able to realize its ambitions to the fullest thanks to the capabilities of the next-gen hardware. I don't think that we would have been able to preserve the level of ambition of this game were it not for the move to next-gen. While there's not a lot of details regarding what this untapped ambition might entail from a design standpoint, Bakaba seems glad to not have to cut content or limit ambitions due to technical limitations. He says it's always heartbreaking when you get to the end of a project and you have to optimize things, and now you have to cut your map in half and you have to justify why it's in two parts. These statements do echo what the PS5's lead system architect Mark Cerny stated last year during the Road to PS5 presentation, that moving forward games would require less development times across the board thanks to better developer experience and increased horsepower. Now, obviously, we know that Sony's studios are not fully embracing next-gen only development yet, but we did just get Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, which I did just platinum. It was a great experience and definitely a showcase for the PlayStation 5, but we know that the next God of War, we know that Horizon Forbidden West, and we know that GT7 will be cross-gen titles, and there's no doubt that there will have to be some compromises made to some extent. At the very least, we know it's going to require a little bit more work on the development side to optimize for both platforms properly, but we do have Arcane here letting us know that there is certainly a benefit to moving to next-gen only development. And again, it is ultimately ironic that we are talking about a now Microsoft-owned studio, but Deathloop is going to be a PlayStation 5 exclusive, at least for, you would assume, 1 year, and then when it does release on Xbox, it will also be next-gen only, but it's likely going to release on PC as well. But regardless of that, we do have yet another developer speaking about the positives of developing just for the next-gen consoles and only having to worry about that. It would have been nice to get more detail as to what exactly what needed, would have had to have been compromised on, or what may have needed to be cut in order to make it work on the PlayStation 4, but nonetheless, the developer is confirming that, it's nice to not have to worry about that. And so I'm very much looking forward to when most of, if not all of Sony's first-party studios just make that jump from not having to worry about the PS4 anymore to just focusing solely on the PS5. I don't really think it's a massive deal that games like Horizon and God of War will be on PS4 because that's where they started development. But going forward, say if we have this upcoming PlayStation event, I would hope that the overwhelming majority of games that are revealed are set to be next-gen only, except for maybe a few select titles. So we'll have to see about that, but still very positive information here coming from Arcane about the development of Deathloop. But we're moving on from that, and we're talking about something interesting that Sony's Herman Hulst had to say about director's cut versions of games and how we can maybe expect more of these types of releases in the future. So this is reading from PlayStation Universe, and it says, Sony announced yesterday that it's bringing Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut on PS5 and PS4 this summer, but its head of Worldwide Studios has hinted that this may not be the last of its kind. And he was speaking on Twitter, and he said, one of my favorite open worlds to explore, now with even more to see and to do on a whole new island. Our Director's Cut releases will all offer new content, and on PS5 will leverage the hardware's advanced features. And so it goes on to say, notice Hull seemed to be talking about director's cut games in the larger sense, specifically mentioning releases. This could just be a typo on his part, but to be fair, we can definitely see this sort of thing gathering steam, as there's plenty of features to be squeezed out of the PS5 versions. Now, I don't think this was a typo. I think he was definitely talking about more director's cut releases. We know that Death Stranding director's cut is a game that was already announced, and it seems here that this is essentially confirmation that Death Stranding director's cut will in fact feature new content. I think that was heavily hinted at during the trailer, but you know, it's very likely that that's going to be a thing. It seems that what Sony wants to do with this going forward is they know that they can't just resell these games, especially when they just released like a year or even 2 years ago, by just, you know, improving them and taking full advantage of the PS5. They want to be able to resell these games at full price, and it seems that Sony's solution to that is we're going to add more content to it. Now, it may not be a massive amount of content, but a pretty decent amount, like an expansion or a large DLC type of release alongside of it or with it to justify selling it again. I mean, if you look at what they're doing with Ghost of Tsushima, some people are upset because they're like, oh, Sony's selling this game at full price, but what people are failing to understand is that you're not paying full price if you already bought Ghost of Tsushima, right? Just like I would assume with Death Stranding, if you already own Death Stranding, you're not going to have to pay $70, or at least it's extremely unlikely you would have to pay a full $70 to access the game. You'll probably have to pay, again, $10 maybe for the PS5 upgrade, which that seems to be what most people have the biggest problem with. For me, that's neither here nor there. I mean, obviously, it would be great if it was free, but I'm not going to sweat 10 bucks. You know, I understand it's a little bit of a cash grab, but the reality is, you know, that's not going to stop me from enjoying a native PS5 version of Ghost of Tsushima or Death Stranding. But you'll probably only have to pay for the upgrade as well as the extra content if you already own the base game. They're just having that option there for people who maybe didn't buy Death Stranding or Ghost of Tsushima for the PS4. You know, if it's your first time buying it and you're buying it on PS5, yeah, you're going to have to pay full price. I think that's a pretty fair expectation or a pretty fair way of going about it. Now, when it comes to the idea of even more director's cut releases, I'm totally fine with this. I would assume it doesn't take that much development time. I mean, obviously the team has to put extra work into making a native PS5 port, but them adding new content is really the big deal in my opinion. Like, we're hearing about Bloodborne, how there's a big ambitious remaster that's going to be revealed soon, and who knows, maybe they will call it Bloodborne Director's Cut. I know that some people don't like the naming convention here. They don't want these things to be called Director's Cut versions, but still, if they add new content, you know, a significant amount of it potentially too, that would be a very big deal, right? Like, to me, that would be like, yeah, I need to buy this right now, and I need to not only replay the game and experience a native PS5 version of it, but I need to play all this new content that they're offering. Now, that's just speculation on my part, but it seems that, you know, that's what they're going for. Herman is saying it himself here, that their director's cut releases are going to offer new content. So, you know, some people are making it sound like this is just becoming glorified DLC, but I don't think so. I mean, I think it's okay for them to call it this because it kind of has like this prestige around it, right? Like, just calling something DLC versus calling it a director's cut, it just sounds a lot fancier, I guess you could say. So just wanted to take a moment to let you guys know about that. But we're moving on here. We're talking about something that I find incredibly interesting, and I know that many of you are going to be interested in it as well. We have an update on the whole Hideo Kojima and Xbox, you know, negotiations that are apparently going on behind the scenes right now. So this is reading from PlayStation Lifestyle. It says, rumors of Hideo Kojima working with Microsoft for his next game are heating up. GamesBeat's Jeff Grubb reports that the developer has signed a letter of intent with Microsoft to ink a future deal for the company to publish and assist with his next game. The two parties, Kojima and Microsoft, have reportedly signed a letter of intent to continue hashing out details for a future partnership. The letter of intent is the precursor to inking a future deal, which would see Microsoft publish the next Hideo Kojima game and allow the developer to use Microsoft resources like Azure Cloud Services. Grubb states this signifies that both parties have agreed to a generalized deal while lawyers continue hashing out the finer points. The letter of intent comes after months of talks between the two parties, and Microsoft is reportedly already getting its ducks in a row to get Kojima everything he will need for the project. Microsoft's hiring of Portal and Left 4 Dead developer Kim Swift, who formerly worked at Stadia, seems to be in line with the goal of helping Kojima make his dream cloud gaming project a reality using Microsoft's cloud infrastructure. Grubb says the deal comes without a specific pitch for a game, but rather a generalized use of the technological capabilities behind Microsoft's cloud services. The point of the partnership is to unlock the creativity of Kojima Productions using Microsoft's technology as opposed to greenlighting a specific pitch. While the deal isn't likely to completely lock Kojima into the Microsoft ecosystem, it's unlikely that we would see the Kojima/Microsoft game come to PlayStation platforms. After all, Microsoft locking down a title with a renowned developer who has previously been largely associated with PlayStation, especially in recent years, is an enormous get for the company. And with the confirmation that Bethesda Starfield is going to be Xbox exclusive, don't expect Microsoft to share its toys so eagerly. So this is a very interesting update that we have to the whole Kojima Microsoft situation. And, I'm not going to lie to you guys, it is a little bit disheartening to me. People get worked up when I say stuff like that because they misunderstand. It's not like I'm saying I'm not going to play Kojima's next title if it's exclusive to Xbox. I've said it many times on the channel before. I don't care where Kojima's next game is or if it's exclusive to this or that. I'm going to play it. I'm a very big fan of Hideo Kojima and his work and Kojima Productions, and so it doesn't matter to me where his game ends up releasing, but it is still surprising to me. That's the thing about this. We're talking about Blue Box Game Studios and the whole situation there and Silent Hill, and it just goes on, and it's just so strange to me that this is seemingly a thing that's happening. There are a lot of people who still don't believe Jeff Grubb and they don't believe this. And I can understand that. It does sound kind of crazy that he would have access to all of this information. Makes you question, where is he hearing this from? But Jeff Grubb has proven to be a somewhat reliable source, specifically with Xbox related stuff. And it seems very unlikely to me that he would be doubling down or even tripling down on this Kojima Microsoft thing if he wasn't pretty sure that there's something legitimate with it going on behind the scenes. And so this just kind of leaves me wondering, what's going to happen next with Kojima and Sony. I mean, just yesterday we talked about how Herman Holst is on this man's mouse pad, in his office. And we know that Sony really helped Kojima in a very big way, kind of get things kickstarted and helped him out and pretty much gave him everything he needed or would have needed to make Death Stranding. And maybe I am being a little bit selfish here because the truth is Sony did do that, right? Sony helped Kojima out, and Kojima gave us Death Stranding, an exclusive new IP, and it was amazing. And I guess it'll be kind of a shocker to see him go to Xbox. But the truth is Kojima is a free agent. He is independent, and Kojima Productions is fully independent. We don't have all of the information. There have been rumors that apparently Sony may have rejected Kojima's pitch for his next game, which sounds highly unlikely to me, but you never know. And apparently, this is just something that Kojima wants to do. He wants to make a cloud native game. And honestly, yeah, if that's what he wants to do, it would make more sense for him to do that over on Xbox rather than on Sony's side of things. But still, it would be quite the shocker, in my opinion, if this is how it ends up playing out, especially given all of the rumors and, theories that have been kind of making their way around the internet. So I'm definitely going to be paying very close attention to this. At the very least, we know that Kojima is giving us Death Stranding Director's Cut, and there will be some new content there, seemingly some Metal Gear related content potentially that's inserted into Death Stranding. And so, yeah, we're going to have to just keep our eyes peeled and kind of, wait and watch and see what ends up happening with this. But I wanted to be sure to let you guys know about this. But we're going to move on and talk about PlayStation Now, speaking of cloud, because apparently Sony is really going all in with bringing some very compelling titles to the service. It seems that Sony is, again, trying to become a little bit more serious about making PlayStation Now more appealing. And so, again, reading from PlayStation Lifestyle, it says a new Facebook ad may have revealed July's upcoming PlayStation Now games, which include popular AAA titles such as Red Dead Redemption 2, God of War, Judgment, and Neo 2. Red Dead Redemption 2 and Judgment will only be available temporarily and will leave PlayStation Now later this year. However, God of War looks to be a permanent addition to the collection. The rumor comes from a series of Facebook ads posted by the official PlayStation account. And so, yeah, it seems like, you know, again, the cat's out of the bag. This is going to be the lineup. And for me, it's not something I really care about too much. I don't use PlayStation Now, although I've heard good things about it. But there's no doubt that Sony is not pushing PlayStation Now the same way that, say, Microsoft is pushing something like Game Pass. But I do believe that Sony is trying their best to keep the service going and flowing, you know, in a positive direction and keeping it healthy to try to bring on as many people as they can without making it seem like it's the priority for them, because it's clearly not. But I will say them adding these types of titles to the service is a good look. And I think that it is certainly appealing and is probably, you know, catching some eyes and making people consider, you know, maybe I will go try this out. So I just wanted to let you know about this. It's worth noting that as of right now, there is no confirmed release date for the titles we mentioned, but it seems like the announcement is imminent and it will be happening very soon. So look out for that if you're interested in PlayStation Now. But there is one last thing, actually two more things I want to mention here before closing out this video. The first has to do with an update with the whole Silent Hill rumor, because we actually have something official to talk about, and it may not be exactly what you were hoping for. So, Bloober Team and Konami have agreed on a strategic partnership that will see both companies exchanging know-how and developing select content, fueling existing rumors that they're collaborating on a new Silent Hill game. And so it says here, it is a historic day for me and the culmination of several years of our work. The fact that such a renowned company as Konami has decided to strategically cooperate with the Bloober Team means that we also joined the world leaders in gaming and became an equal partner for the leading players in the market. And so that was actually what Bloober Team's president had to say about it. And it's worth noting that Bloober Team earlier this year heavily hinted that they were working on Silent Hill. And a lot of people were kind of hoping it wasn't true because, you know, I don't think Bloober Team is horrible or anything. It's not that serious, but they're definitely not a prestigious team. They're definitely not looked at as like a top tier AAA team. They're looked at more of like a, you know, maybe C+, maybe B team. And, you know, we've been wanting this Silent Hill reboot for a long time, something big, something AAA, something that you would maybe expect from like a Sony studio, right? And it seems that that's not exactly what we're getting. It is worth noting, though, that we have to remember there are apparently 2 Silent Hill games in development. This is just one of the 2. Apparently, a prominent Japanese studio or developer is working on the other. So we're going to have to wait to hear about that. But I wanted to update you guys with this because we now have what is essentially confirmation that Bloober Team is working with Konami, likely on Silent Hill. So you can let me know what you guys think about that down in the comments below. But I'm going to end this video by letting you know about some updates that Insomniac Games is bringing to both Spider-Man Miles Morales as well as Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. So we'll start here with Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. And so this is reading from Gaming Bolt. It says, after disabling the title automatically outputting to 120 Hz, Insomniac Games has released a new update for Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart that adds a proper 120 Hz display mode. Along with reducing input latency, the target frame rate when playing in fidelity mode goes up to 40 FPS. Other features added in version 1.002 include an option to disable the VFX from the Phantom Dash, both in-game and in photo mode. You can also turn armor on or off in photo mode and add color backgrounds into the mix, along with some new stickers, some nice quality of life improvements, including binding the skip cutscenes option to the D-pad and disabling the level up notification. And so there's a whole list of stuff that they added here, but what we just talked about are pretty much the biggest points of this update that you're going to want to pay attention to. And it's nice to see that they're continuing to improve Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. Obviously, great game. But what's even more interesting is apparently they're still updating Spider-Man Miles Morales. So again, reading from Gaming Bolt, it says it's been almost 8 months since Insomniac Games released Marvel's Spider-Man Miles Morales, but it continues to update the title. Version 1.10 is available now for PlayStation 5 owners, and along with stability fixes and performance improvements, it improves the quality of ray traced reflections in performance ray traced mode. This was a mode added to the game post-launch and allows for playing at 60 FPS with ray tracing enabled. Aside from a fix for motion blur on some pedestrians, there isn't much else to be seen in this update. But again, it's worth pointing out that they're still finding ways to make this game look even better, even 8 months since it launched. And I just thought it was worth mentioning to you guys. I don't know if, there's many of you listening to this that are still waiting to get a PS5 or hoping to get one and you haven't played this yet. You're waiting to play it on PS5. You can look forward to even, better enhancements to the performance ray tracing mode, which people already love. People have already expressed over and over again how amazing this game looks, both Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart and Spider-Man Miles Morales in the performance ray tracing mode. So Insomniac Games just constantly putting in work for their games, man, just constantly putting in work for PlayStation. You love to see it. So there you go. I just wanted to end the video letting you guys know about that, but that does it for this video. I hope you did enjoy it. I hope you did find it informative. If you did, again, leave it a like, leave your thoughts down in the comments below, subscribe to the channel if you're new, hit the bell notification icon, and feel free to share this video out on top of all that. But until next time, guys, take care.